Hi, everybody. This is John Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on April the 20th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got a ton of great information for you tonight. Let's click Murtech on Rumble and jump over here to my Rumble channel. There we go, episode 1893. It says it's upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it. So let's jump into this. Close out the live chat, slide down here and click the show more button to expand out the description box. And we have information from Dan Bongino, Glenn Beck, Rubin Report, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we jump into that, let's give a shout out to Rubin Stan. Just started following my channel. Donna 3527 just started following my channel. John Bauer just started following my channel. M Varshley 1 just started following my channel, and J Frank 24 just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you're tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1892. Uncloudy commented on my episode 1892. Hey Halio commented on my extra 674C. And Debbie BS commented on my extra 675A. Okay, let me give this a thumbs up. Thank you so much for your comments. I enjoy reading your feedback and definitely appreciate your support. There we go. Okay, if you follow me anytime at all, you know that normally I post at least 2, normally 3 extra videos during the day. But today I had to take my wife to the doctor. She's headed to the eye doctor. She's going to have cataract surgery on March the 12th, I think it is, 12th or the 17th. She's got the date written down. But at any rate, that's the reason I only had 1 extra today. But tomorrow we'll be back to normal. All right, well, let's start off here with Dan Bongino. Another BS hit piece, episode 2498. Let's see what that's all about. I'm sure it's talking about cash. Right there. Cash is right on the thumbnail. So let's see
all right,
what he has to say.
Let's go. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's not SPS. Self-praise sucks. It does. However, I'm just really proud that we've been able to produce a product. The last decade of being on the air has really resonated with you. There was a poll taken in March, yes, for the Bongino haters out there. Again, I can't help you with your poor genetics, and I can't help you with your neuronal deficiency and your just, natural stupidity. However, maybe, have some omega-3 fatty acids, and you'll be able to read the actual poll. It was taken in March. So it was a poll this news lab place about online platforms and influencers overtaking television and newspapers as primary news sources. So they went back and in March, they polled people who voted in 2024. Where do you get your news? And we did quite well. I think it was like 9 and 1 and then 11 with the non-weighted. So we are. You have Rogan at the top, Hannity, Gutfeld, Elon, Mark Levin. And then there you go, the Dan Bongino show. So I'm quite proud of that. And it relates to a larger question about media fragmentation. There's an interesting piece at the Hollywood Reporter, of all places, this morning about just this. Folks, I'm telling you, going forward, you are going to have to, us included, we are no different. We deserve no special dispensation from you. If you're a content creator, TikTok, Snapchat, Rumble, YouTube, whatever it is, Kick, any of these platforms, if you are a content creator, there are no intellectual days off where you can just dial it in. What I'm trying to get at is there are too many choices in this fragmented media market now. There's no turning on the TV and there's 3 networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. People have tens of thousands of choices to go to for news. Do not, under any circumstances, ever take you, the audience, for granted, ever. You do it, you will die. Your show will, I don't mean physically die. Your show will die. This Hollywood Reporter piece explains it. How people just aren't getting their news and they're just not all tuned into the same thing anymore. It's a Rick Porter piece. The last time everyone watched the same thing goes back to 2014 and how the whole market's fragmented now. You got Netflix, Amazon Prime, Peacock, Paramount, You've got Samsung Plus TV. Its thing comes up on my TV every time. You've got Dan Bongino, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Tim Pool. You've got hundreds and hundreds of options, and people's podcast shelf, the amount of material they consume in a day on that shelf, that figurative bookshelf, is limited. So I just want you to know that I deeply appreciate it. You matter to me. I will never, ever dial in a show. We put in a ton of work. I sent the guys stuff over the weekend. Justin's like, why are you sending me stuff on a Sunday night? The answer is because you guys matter. Getting back to what I opened up the show with, and the most important story of the day, I think, for the purposes of me getting this out to you, is this hit piece on Kash Patel yet again. Folks, this is really getting sick at this point. I'm going to tell you why. Put up the piece, if you would, at the Atlantic. This is just a disgusting piece. I think Kash is filing a lawsuit today, and I applaud him for doing it. The absolutely hapless Atlantic and the disgusting Sarah Fitzpatrick, who I can't believe is even, is even attempting to stand by this piece. The FBI director is MIA. He's alarmed colleagues. That's interesting. No one's reached out to me, guys. Colleagues. Not a single person. With episodes of excessive drinking and unexplained absences, and we can't find them. We can't find them. Kash, that's insane. No one knows where he is. He's hiding somewhere, folks. Now that's pretty easy to debunk, because most of Kash's schedule is an official schedule. And you can just look at it and see where he is most of the time and what he's doing. When he's out traveling, he was on a West Coast swing last week. He's on Twitter posting, or his team is saying, hey, here we are in San Diego and other places doing this and that. He does a lot of travel, because I don't know if this is news to many of the dumb shit liberal media morons out there. However, the FBI is a global organization. So just because it's headquartered in Washington, D.C., not everything happens in D.C. Matter of fact, a small portion of the FBI's work happens in D.C., so he travels a lot. Now, it's really strange. I was there for the first year of the Trump administration, and I didn't get one single phone call. You mean, oh, you're just covering for Kash. No, I'm not. I love Kash. He's a friend, but I'm not stupid. I want an FBI where the director works. If the director was terrible, I would tell you. He's actually incredible and has racked up a series of W's we've never seen. And that's why you see these liberal media hit pieces that are total fabrications. I was there practically every day with him in the office. He gets in at about 6 to 6:30. He goes down to the gym. There's a gym in that decrepit old Hoover building in the basement. Gym's actually not bad. He works out in the gym. You want to know where to find him? You walk downstairs. Hey, Kash. It's not hard. Just ask people who work out in the morning. Have you seen Kash? They can say, yeah, he's down in the gym. He's unexplained. He's downstairs. You just go in the elevator. You go to the basement level. There's a little basketball court, and there's a nice gym right behind it. The cardio room is upstairs. And there's a little studio thing, too. You can just go down there and find him, Sarah, every day. And then it's even weirder. Like, the workday ends at 5 o'clock, but not for him, because he stays late in the office. He stays till about 7. So Kash stays till about 7 o'clock. So when you want to find him, there's a crazier place to go. And it's the 7th floor office of the director that says Director Kash Patel. You'll find him right there behind the door. It's so freaking weird, man. Folks, the story is bullshit. Now, why are they going after Kash Patel? For the same reason they went after Pete, for the same reason they're now going after Bobby Kennedy. They are extremely effective in their jobs. Extremely effective in their jobs. Kash has been able to highlight what an FBI will do when you refocus it and you reform it. It's created a foil effect for the media. They had Joe Biden and Barack Obama's FBI, which did nothing but target political opponents. They had diminished their role in violent crime. It was a leadership problem. There's no doubt about it. Now you get new leaders in charge. You have the safest United States in U.S. history. You had that massive arrest of that Iranian trying to get on a plane. allegedly involved in weapons trafficking. You had first Antifa prosecutions in the United States. You have all these public corruption cases between Bolton to Comey to James and all these other cases. You have that corrupt squad in Washington, D.C. we had disbanded. You had a bunch of people get let loose who just had no business being in the FBI. They don't want that. They can't have this foil. So they have to take away a chit from Donald Trump, who put these people in charge and got rid of no other president could get. That's it. It's the same reason they're going after Pete and everyone else. They have to slowly pick apart, chip the mortar out of the brick until the whole house collapses. And they're waiting for useful idiots to play along with them. The beautiful thing is this Sarah Fitzpatrick Zero was roundly mocked on Twitter this weekend because other news organizations passed on this story because it was so stupid. We can't find them. As Justin said before, it's so weird I never got the call. Man, we can't find the boss, man. I got news for you. I had no problem finding him ever. Ever. Like at no point did I call him where he either didn't answer or call back within 5 minutes. That never happened. Here's why they hate him. And they absolutely cannot let this go. Here's Kash Patel on with Maria Bartiromo this weekend talking about documented, put them on a freaking spreadsheet, W's on the board thanks to the president's leadership and letting us do our jobs. These are documented W's that no one's been able to produce that they're just pissed off about, so they got to make sure this guy goes away. Check this out.
This FBI has the most prolific year in crime reduction in the United States history, a 20% reduction in the homicide rate, a 20-point drop in opiate overdose deaths. We have found and identified 6,300 child victims, 6,300 kids get to go home to their kids. That's a 30% increase. Seizing enough fentanyl to kill 180 million Americans. That's a 31% increase. Our deal with China, where we stopped the flow of fentanyl precursors, or historic engagement thanks to President Trump in Busan. And our work continues. We've captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, to include rapists, murderers, terrorists, and narco traffickers. That's twice as much Biden did, and this FBI got done in 14 months. So if I'm not doing my job, if I'm not working, then how is it that the FBI delivered the safest America under President Trump's leadership in the history of our country? And so you know what? They can beat their drums. It's a toxic waste. That doesn't make it toxic waste.
And I'm honored you're here. You know, we're only a few minutes into the show. It's 50,000 people here. We got a whole stadium full of people. I love you guys so much. I mean it. You've been such a gift to me. I can't say this enough. If you're tired of it, oh, Dan, no, fine. You're not tired. I don't care. I'm going to keep telling you. But the life you all have offered me, and forget about the financial stuff. I get my own investments and things like that. I appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. It's not that. The life you all have given me, it's a gift. It is. It is a gift, and I will never take you guys for granted. But I promise you, me bullshitting you, if I were to tell you, like, hey, those stories are all BS, and guys tomorrow come out like on the record, you'd be like, wow, you lied to me. I'm telling you the truth. This guy is one of the best leaders I've ever worked with. He is. He doesn't accept bullshit. Listen, like me, sometimes he gets a little hot-tempered when he gets a stupid answer. But thankfully, we've got such a great team in place right now at the top that there's not a lot of stupid answers anymore. There were early on. I'm sorry. I mean, I asked the guy one time why we weren't back in the violent crime business. The FBI, like, why are we minimizing our footprint in violent crime? And one guy told me, well, get ready for this. Did I ever tell you guys this? One of the answers one of these guys gave me was, well, it's really risky. I said, what did you just say that in public, like out loud? It's risky? Now, that was not the feeling of the rank and file agents who wanted to go out and kick in doors and arrest bad guys, but someone actually said that. I said, don't ever say that again. You know what's risky? Violent criminals in people's neighborhoods killing, burglarizing, and raping their kids. And that's risky. I'm getting tired of this, man, and you should be too. That's a bullshit piece. That woman should be embarrassed. And let me tell you something, man. Bring your sources. Let's hear them, because you're not buying them. There was one story in there. I hesitate to even repeat it to you because it was so dumb. They needed like breaching tools because they couldn't get him up because he was sleeping. You don't think I'd get a call about that? They busted his door down with a Halligan tool, whatever. And you believe? Sure. Okay. All right, moving on. They just don't want it. They don't reward play. They don't want it. That's what they get these people out of there. And it's like going to happen. Sorry.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. I'm like 18 minutes into this 1 hour and 9 minute video, so I will include this in my daily news wrap up if you want to watch the rest of this. In the meantime, let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from the Dan Bongino show. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. Now, we're doing a little chatting here with Debbie BS and Susie Poll 2016. But let's jump down here and see what Glenn Beck has to say. Interesting stuff. I shared a little bit yesterday about from Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog about some UFO stuff. I mean, that's being in the news. So Glenn Beck has some information here, a video. I reconsidered everything after hearing this about alien encounters. So let's take a listen. Interesting stuff.
But I have Billy Hollowell, who I asked to come back. He was with us. Was it the beginning of the week, Billy, or was it last week that you were on? And we were talking about, it was last Friday. We were talking about your show, Investigating the Supernatural Miracles. And we didn't get a chance to get to aliens, and this whole thing about extraterrestrial. And the insiders, when you were on, they all wanted me to ask you about this, and we just ran out of time. So I wanted to have you back because there is this debate. Not only are aliens real, but there's this other debate that I'm not really engaged on, and I'd love to have you explain it, that these are not, that if you're from another planet, this way I understand it, I could be wrong. If you're from another planet, you're not part of God's plan, you're a demon. Is that what people are saying, or do I have that screwed up? Because that sounds nuts to me.
So here's what people are saying. What they're saying is you sort of pull back and you say, okay, people are experiencing something, right? And I think that's the key here.
Yes.
People are seeing something. This isn't people making it up. There are claims of encounters. There are claims of seeing UFOs. And when I talk about encounters, there are people who claim that they've actually interacted with these aliens. They've been abducted. And it sounds crazy, but this is something that is very prevalent. Now, that causes us to say, okay, are they all crazy or did they see something? I think that the conclusion, even among a lot of scientists now, is that, hey, people are seeing something, but where the debate is what are they actually seeing? Are they seeing beings from another planet?
Mm-hmm. Or are they seeing something spiritual? Yes.
Right.
And that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. To say that, that life, that we're alone in the planet, and if anything else comes off of any other planet is not part of God's plan or it's evil, does not make sense. So if people are saying that, I would disagree with. But if you're talking about people seeing and interacting now with aliens, that the possibility is that is a dark spiritual force, I absolutely believe that could be true.
Well, and that's what's so interesting about this. Well, that's what's so interesting about this, because when you read Ephesians 6 in the Bible, when you look at these different verses, it doesn't just say there's Satan and demons. It talks about principalities and powers, and there's some mystery here in what is going on. But one of the key theories among a lot of Christians is that people are seeing things in the skies. They're interacting with these things. They believe there's sort of a deception theory that over at cbn.com/supernatural. But we cover it because the idea is that there's a deception and that demons want you to believe they're aliens, but they're actually demonic, and they're presenting themselves. And I know this sounds crazy, but they're presenting themselves as aliens. Now, when you do look at Scripture, you see that angels, and we can get into the whole debate about what are demons even, because that's sort of part of this. Angels do show up in different forms, even as people throughout Scripture. So this idea that if these are demons, they could manifest as aliens or something else, it's an interesting prospect. And we could talk even about some of the evidence that people will raise to make this claim.
But demons cannot, excuse me this is such a novice question, I'm sure, for you, but I thought demons could possess bodies, but do not have bodies, right? Or is that wrong?
No, you are correct. And this is where this debate gets very, very interesting because there are all different theories on this, right? Not everybody, and that's why I brought up what are demons. You kind of have to work backwards on this with the alien question because there is a debate even among Christians when it comes to what are demons. Now, the common belief is that demons are fallen angels, right? Now, if that's true, angels can manifest in physical form, right? They have bodies in Scripture. We see this numerous times where they appear as people, where the Bible even tells us you may entertain angels unaware. You think they're people, they're not.
Right.
The other theory is that demons are actually the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. And that is an interesting theory, and it's one that has been picking up some steam even among theologians. But basically, you go back to Genesis 6, you see these giants, right, that the Bible talks about. And you have to kind of extend outside of Scripture into the book of Enoch, which is reference Scripture. I know this is a lot,
Right.
but to kind of pull this theory together.
It's in the Apocrypha.
Yes, it's in the Apocrypha.
Yes.
But Jude references it, which is very interesting, in the New Testament. He references a piece of that book, which means there was at least some belief that parts of that book were valid, or they were at least, well known among the Jewish people at the time. So the idea that the Nephilim died in the flood and we're no longer bodied and we're looking for bodies and that's what demons are, that's another theory we tackle in the film as well. So
Okay.
Your question is a good one, though.
This is fascinating to me, the Nephilim, because years ago, I had no idea about the giants and everything else. And the Nephilim, correct me if I'm wrong, the Nephilim are angels that were supposed to protect mankind, I believe. They were little giants. And they are really butchering this, but they're sitting around having a conversation and maybe a beer, and they're like, you know what? Let's just go down there and we can mate with them and we'll make, super humans. And so they come down, and that is where we get the giants of the past. Is they took human women, mated with them, and made these giants. And that's why one of the reasons why God destroyed everything with mankind, the flood, because we had augmented ourselves with these things. You're saying that they didn't go away, that this might be the explanation for what we're seeing?
So, yeah, and here's the thing that gets so wild, because this sounds science fiction and it sounds crazy, but this is what the book of Enoch says. Now, the Bible talks about, and again, Genesis 6, it does talk about this. So it was the fallen angels who came down, according to Enoch, and mated with human women and produced the Nephilim. So these Nephilim are then wiped out in the flood. As you said, they're doing all these things that God hates. They're wiped out in the flood, and they have been seeking a body ever since. That is one theory of what demons are. And that's why when you ask the question, well, aren't angels bodied, right? They can have a body. They can show up in physical form. What's interesting about the alien discussion is you could make either argument here. You could say, well, are fallen angels not really necessarily demons that can possess people, but are they the aliens that are walking around physically manifesting as this thing, right? And so this is such a complicated discussion, but I think the key thing in pulling back is if there aren't aliens from other planets, then what are people experiencing? And it seems that many would say in the Christian realm, they're actually experiencing a spiritual battle that's pouring over these spiritual creatures that are demonic, right? Whether you think they're Nephilim, fallen angels, they're part of the realm of darkness, and they're convincing people that there's something else. And then the big question is, well, why would they do that? Is there a deception here? If the whole world is believing in aliens, what does that mean?
Is there a deception that some sees like that? Of course there is. Of course there is. That's the whole point of the dark side, is deception.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. When you explain it this way, to me, that makes sense. Tucker Carlson came out, a year ago, and said he experienced a demon in the middle of the night. And he said, I had claw marks on my back that my wife saw the next day. I think we are in a battle of good and evil, and we have to be really, really, really careful right now, Even the very elect will be lost at this time.
Well, and can I say something about what you just said about Tucker and that story? Because this is really important, because people are going to say, this sounds so crazy, and there are people, look, even in the Christian realm, who do believe that aliens exist as their own sort of species, and we could talk about that. But I think what we're seeing right now is a full culture that wants to talk only about aliens, and that should alarm us to a degree, because we have to have an answer. What are they? We have to come to that conclusion. But what you were saying about Tucker, one of the things in looking at this, and Hugh Ross is in Investigating the Supernatural, he talks about this, when you compare people's interactions with aliens, the claimed aliens, to the demonic, they mirror one another. There's nighttime visitations, paralysis, fear, being very scared, telepathy, all the things that when people are possessed or oppressed, they claim to experience. We see a parallel with these alien encounters. And this one's wild. There are many researchers who say that the minute you mention Jesus's name, the alien encounter will stop. And so those are things that do add credence to that this is actually a spiritual manifestation,
yes,
which would also account for why we don't see, there's so many claims of technology, and I know there's congressmen talking about this that we're seeing, but we haven't really laid our eyes on any of this stuff that is as physical as people are claiming. So that will be interesting to see as well.
So I think, Billy, I think I come away agreeing, if this is what you're saying, that that there is a spiritual battle going on, and that could be what we're seeing and experiencing when we claim we have these encounters, and that we don't know what aliens are. I mean, I don't want to put them into a box that they are one thing or another, because we've never really seen them. What we are seeing could be very well a spiritual being on the dark side. Makes sense to me. But to say everything in space is bad just is not reasonable, and that's not what you're saying, right?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. And I think there's a lot of mystery here.
Perfect.
I think what I'm saying is Ephesians 6. If people don't know it, if you're not a Christian, you've never read the Bible, go and read that, because it's very interesting. We are in the middle of this battle, like we were saying last week, and in order to navigate and survive that battle, we've got to understand and look at things with a spiritual lens, and that is the key.
Okay, Billy, I'm going to ask you again. I can't believe I'm asking you this again. Can you come back next Friday? Because I want you to go over that Ephesians thing on
absolutely
principalities
my favorite
and powers.
Topic, Glenn.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
Absolutely.
Can you come back next Friday? We'll talk about that. Thanks, Billy.
Thank you.
All right. Really interesting stuff, I think. Okay, I've been watching things about Area 51 and the crash in Roswell. I've been watching that for decades. But I've never seen flying saucer. I've never seen an alien. I don't know, but it's interesting stuff, I think. Okay. This video does come from Glenn Beck. I'm subscribed to his channel on YouTube, giving him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here. Let's see, Deb Brandt. Oh, GP Wolco01. Hello, Murtec. Yeah, hey, thank you. Yes, I like Wendy Bell. I raid her podcast pretty much every day, but fortunately today I was at the doctor with my wife. UFO aliens, very interesting stories. My aunt had a very close encounter with UFO. Everything is possible. Yeah, great chats. Okay, let's slide down here. Oh, let me open up the chat and show that. There we go. GP Wolco01 and Deb Rand gave me a couple of chats. Just jump in there. Don't be bashful. Okay, Rubin report. The exact moment host realizes leftist is a monster. Okay, well, let's check it out. See what that's all about.
When you say Hamas is 1,000 times better, do you actually mean that? Or is that a rhetorical move or like a solidarity signal?
You gave me a perfect segue to the next thing that I wanted to hit on, which is that this guy, Hassan Piker, who, believe it or not, I worked with at the Young Turks many lifetimes ago. He is one of the worst human beings I have ever come across. He is a multi-millionaire communist, quasi-Islamist who is telling his kids, and it's kids that are watching him on Twitch, literally how to build suicide drones, that 9/11 was good, that Hamas is good, that he has nothing. He walked the streets of China and said he has nothing to be proud of as an American. He went on one of these Obama bro podcasts, and here he is saying that Hamas is better than Israel. And actually, he would vote for Hamas.
When you say Hamas is 1,000 times better, do you actually mean that? Or is that a rhetorical move or like a solidarity signal? Like what?
I mean, it's all of the above. I do mean it. I think it's a rhetorical move because it frustrates a lot of people. I've also said I'm a harm reduction voter. I'm a lesser evil voter, and therefore I would vote for Hamas over Israel every single time.
Katie, I mean, what?
I go from laughing to like, this is super dangerous. I mean, this guy is on the record multiple times, dozens of times, calling for murder of people he disagrees with politically, just like a good Hamas supporter would do.
Yeah, blood in the streets. Yeah.
And yet Democrats are campaigning with him for the midterm elections. This is not some guy who's on the far fringes of the internet. He is actively working with the Democratic Party on the campaign trail. And it just goes to show how far the left has gone to solidify this communist Islamist partnership that they're using, this anti-Americanism that they are not just shying away from, but fully endorsing and embracing. I mean, it's wild. He was at Yale University, I believe it was on Tuesday, talking about, again, which he said before, that the fall of the communist USSR was one of the worst things that's ever happened to the country. I mean, it's absolutely crazy that the Democrats are endorsing this guy.
So, Mikhail, for those of us that don't want the Democrats to be in power or win the midterms or whatever, we should sort of want them to attach themselves to this guy, right? Because at some point, if you push the average person far enough with the rhetoric, for example, I'd vote for Hamas, who put aside Jews in Israel, they killed 47 Americans.
Right.
It
might actually backfire.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you can't go around saying that I'm going to vote for a terrorist organization because I'm a, what did he say? Safety voter. I care about safety, or however he worded it. Yeah. It's obviously ridiculous to the average person, to the normal person who's not in this, this swamp that we mentioned in the first section. Most people are going to see this and be immediately repulsed. They're going to want to vomit. And so I'm not sure how this is in any way different than what they've done in the past, which is what led to them losing the last election. They were saying crazy stuff under Biden. They were doing crazy stuff under Biden. Kamala Harris was saying crazy stuff, and people rejected it. People rejected this woke mind virus because of it. And Donald Trump won. And I don't know why they're running the same op again. It's almost worse this time. This is worse.
It seems like it's going to its final form, which is the morphing into Islamism or jihadism or whatever you want to call it. But I want to show you this. I don't know if you guys saw this. This is absolutely wild. So the New York Times, it is pure propaganda that would make Pravda red in the face. So I think it was the day before that piece that we just showed you there, where he sat down with the Obama bro, this Hassan Piker guy. There was a piece written by Ezra Klein, who's just kind of one of these limp-wristed Democrat, whatever. He wrote, and it was an op-ed piece, but he wrote, the headline is Hassan Piker is not the enemy. Then that piece comes out, that interview comes out where he says he would vote for Hamas. And then they subtly and quietly change the headline to this is why there's no liberal Joe Rogan. I mean, Katie, to me, that is the perfect example of everything. It's the perfect example of the media lying. It's the perfect example of running cover for these crazy leftists. Like, it shows you the radicalness of their positions. It's just got a little bit of everything.
So there's two things that are happening here. There's like the camp that are true believers, like the Hassan Piker wing, where they truly believe that Hamas is better and that the communism is better than, because they're the true believers. But when it comes to like Ezra Klein, they're trying to kind of say, and the Obama bros, and they did this in this podcast, they try to kind of say, like, you don't really mean that, right? Like, you're just being, you're exaggerating. Like, they try to kind of sanitize it and make it palpable for the average person. And then the people are like, Hassan Piker's like, no, like, I actually believe in terrorism. And they don't know what to do with it. So then they have to like change their position. They're kind of like, oh my God, So there's the denial people, the delusional people, and then the true believers who are taking over the party.
All right. great information. Great information. The you know, okay, I have a granddaughter, and I sold her a house, a house that I got real cheap on contract to help her get started. She got married. I mean, this was probably 15 years ago. And so then her and her husband split up. Well, she moved out and left him there with the house, and he's been making payments. In fact, he came over yesterday to make a house payment. And, you know, we get along fine. In fact, see more of him than I do of my granddaughter. Our son and her, I mean, they are straight, hardcore Democrat liberals. You know, and he was telling me that he was talking to her, and she said, look, the fact is, I'm a Democrat. I believe in people getting along. I love other people. You're a Republican. You hate people, and you're racist. Okay? Well, he's not racist. I mean, and he doesn't hate everybody. He's a pretty nice guy, actually. So, you know, I don't know why they broke up other than her weird Democrat ideas, liberal ideas. But that they are. I think there's, you know, with this TDS, I think there's definitely a mental issue going on with people that claim to be Democrats, especially after all the bullshit that's been uncovered here in the past few years. All right, well, let's click on this Rumble link and jump over here to the Rubin report. Sharing his information. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. Okay, GP work, Murtek, glad your wife is okay. Yeah, it's just a situation where she's got some cataracts and going to get those removed. I mean, it's nothing serious. It's not like, you know, a heart surgery or anything like that. So, yeah, she's going to be fine. I mean, it's just a mild case, and, you know, the doctor assures us that, you know, it's just a standard operating procedure. But thank you very much for your concern. Okay, and everybody seems to be liking Wendy Bell. We've talked about that in the chat, so let's get right to that. All right, Wendy Bell, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Now, she had a pretty interesting monologue talking about her son and twin sons, and going to a soccer game, and, you know, she's realizing now with school almost being out that, you know, they're going to be moving away from home and she's going to be alone. If you want to listen to that, you by all means, the link is right here. I'm going to click on the link, take you over to Wendy Bell, but we're going to start it after her commercial break. So here we go. 22-minute mark.
Ho, 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 it's magic. You know.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I mean, it's amazing. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, apparently, if your name is Ilhan Omar. That was just really, it was a zero. It was an extra zero, several zeros that made her that multimillionaire. She says, I'm not rich, no. So apparently Ilhan Omar, now getting the squeeze, has come out and has not taken, of course, any culpability, any blame, any responsibility for being paid off in the Minneapolis Somali welfare fraud scheme, which she clearly has cashed in on to the degree of, I don't know, 7 figures. She's now saying, you know what? No, I'm sorry. It was an accounting error. Oh, it must have been an accounting error. So the Wall Street Journal has this article about her. And if the Wall Street Journal is putting this out, oh boy. Ilhan Omar says she isn't a multimillionaire, blames accounting error. President Trump had suggested that the Minnesota Congresswoman profited from a massive welfare fraud scandal that is still being investigated. Look, if you need any proof that she clearly did, President Trump just gave you the breadcrumbs. He tells you what's going on. These aren't just wild things he's talking about. The guy knows. He always knows. So here's the story. Of course, you're trying to log in. Okay, well, I'll sign in here. This happens all the time. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Use your finger. There you go. So, so apparently when squeezed on this, Democrat Rep Ilhan Omar of Minnesota facing potential investigations pushed by President Trump and House Republicans. Well, she said she isn't as wealthy as documents she previously submitted to Congress suggest because, yes, there were some major accounting errors in her filing. An Omar disclosure filed last year showed that she and her husband held assets of between $6 million and $30 million, which would be a massive rise in wealth for her previous annual filing. And that jump triggered questions among Republicans eager to scrutinize a critic of the president. That's not what anybody was eager to scrutinize. It's clearly garbage, Wall Street Journal morons who want all of us to believe we're really right, very in the middle, very moderate, very objective. No, you're not. No, you're not. When a woman comes over, marries her brother, lies about her own age so that she appears naturalized, one could very strongly make the case that Ilhan Omar is not a United States citizen, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to tell the truth, there is an investigation into that, which I believe the investigations part of this article alludes to. This isn't pie in the sky like, I wonder if she's a filthy liar just because she doesn't like Trump. Or I wonder if all of the people from her homeland who came over and settled in the place that she calls her home, and now we're all driving around in Lamborghinis and like $150,000 BMWs, whatever the hell they are, right? That maybe there could be a connection. An amended filing viewed by the Wall Street Journal shows the couple's assets, the Ilhan Omar and her husband, who seems like just to be kind of like a geek, shows that the couple's assets really, it's not $6 to $30 million. It's actually $18,004 to $95,000. That's kind of a big oopsies. Like if
that's a rounding error.
You know what? If you fudge that one up, I think somebody would be knocking on your door. But according to the Wall Street Journal, she's being investigated because she's a loud critic of Trump. Or maybe we're not stupid. Omar's husband, the former political consultant Tim Minette, is involved with a variety of businesses. Of course, none of which, like the winery. Did you ever see any of the wine from the winery that Tim Minette apparently owns? Oh, that's right. We don't have a winery. There are no grapes. There is no wine. And in fact, there is no relevant business. Are you guys allowed to do that? Are you allowed to do that and create shell companies and actually get money from the Somalians who have been getting rich off of you opening the door to their criminality? Like, what aide said that Omar looked at the form before it was filed in 2025, but that the error didn't just jump off the page at her because she isn't involved with her husband's businesses. Who else said that, Brock? There was somebody else who got a lot of money on the stock market, like $250 million. And she was like, oh, that's Paul. Oh, that's Nancy Pelosi. That's right.
It's also Joe Biden.
That. Oh, that's right. What happened with that again? Oh, I have no idea. Well, this was my favorite part. This is what a spokesperson for Ilhan Omar had to say about the problem. A Washington lawyer representing her responding in a letter, as the busiest of people, it is very common for members and spouses to rely on learned professionals like accountants to make calculations and determinations that appear on public filings. While the error is, of course, unfortunate, there is nothing untoward and nothing illegal has occurred. What does that tell you? It's 100% untoward and 100% illegal. Give me a break. This is, ladies and gentlemen, just some little small snippet of the ridiculosity that is now squeezing the people who have used their positions in Congress to get away with everything, whether it's allegedly roofing women and having sex with them against their will. That's called rape. Or it's defrauding the American taxpayer of between $6 and $30 million. Oh, wow. Wall's closing in, guys. when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. What's going on with Iran? Are they ceasefire, no ceasefire? Are we going to bomb them? What's all the latest next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network?
All righty. Let's move this up to past the bottom of the hour break. About the 36-minute mark. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Yeah, I did think about the president this weekend and all of the weight that is on his shoulders. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he does not on the left. There's really nobody save John Fetterman, I think, on the left who has any kind of honest commentary about this president's job, the job he's doing and what's expected of him, and then the obstacles that are laid in his way. I think it is astonishing that you hear the Democrats and even some Republicans, you hear people like even Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, people get butthurt over political stuff, who seem to advocate for the failure of America if it means a punch in the eye to this president. And I remember when Rush Limbaugh came out. Remember when he said after Obama won, I hope he fails. And the left went, oh, racist. And Rush, like, that's nothing to do with his race. I know that man is, or what he's portraying himself to be, and he is anything but. And I hope he fails. Because what he wants to do is bad for this country. And you can't put words in my mouth. Interpret it all you want. I hope he fails. And boy, wasn't Rush 100% correct. I want President Trump to win on this one 100% because it's not just good for America. It's not just good for my children and our ultimate grandchildren. It's good for the world. It's good for the people who don't value life, who are instead ruled by some religious ideology that in fact belittles the value of life. I want you to fail if that's where your eggs are. I want you to fail every single day and 75 times on Sunday. And I'd be happy to watch it on live television any day of the week. Fail. But with Iran rogue leadership or whomever this guy is, there's some top IRGC commander apparently who has grabbed control of power, I understand, who is now likely controlling Iran's military and the negotiations with J.D. Vance and with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. And this rogue commander is kind of bigfooting the more reasonable minds that had been speaking with the president and his team about, yes, we will agree, no more nuclear enrichment. Yes, we will agree, no nuclear ever. Yes, we will agree. You can come in and you can get all of the remnants, the dust of the uranium. Yes. Well, there's somebody who stepped in now and is fudging all that up. So the embattled countries remaining goons there don't want to go down without a fight. And now President Trump is in this really weird spot. Do I blow up what I say I'm going to blow up, which is damn near everything, and set the country back 20, 40, 50 years? Or how long do you extend the olive patience? I don't know. But all of this is on that one man's shoulders. So it started Saturday at about 5 p.m. when the gravely injured supreme leader, the Ayatollah Jr. guy who apparently lost a leg, whose whole family was wiped out in that initial strike, he issued new military threats to the U.S. and to Israel. And amid this truce, right? There's supposed to be a truce. There's supposed to be a ceasefire. And then all of a sudden on Saturday about 5 p.m., we get this New York Post story that says a gravely injured Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei issued a chilling message amidst an uneasy truce with Israel, threatening that Iran's Navy is ready to inflict new bitter defeats on enemies. And it's like, you do know that according to CENTCOM, United States Central Command, you don't have a Navy. You might have speedboats. You might have ways to agitate and irritate, but your Navy's all but destroyed. Are you really calling these shots, Ayatollah guy? Or he could be dead. Nobody knows. Nobody has seen him. So that's how it started. That no, we're not going to really play your games. So then on Sunday at 3 p.m., after 6 hours of warnings, U.S. forces operating in the Arabian Sea had to enforce their naval blockade measures against an Iranian-flagged cargo vessel that was attempting to sail toward an Iranian port. Now, this wasn't just like, we're going to blow you up. There were 6 hours of warnings, 6 hours of stop. You have to stop moving forward. You have to stop doing what you're doing. You must now get out of your engine room because you have ignored 6 hours of warnings. We are going to fire on you. This fight and the CENTCOM, our Navy firing on this vessel after 6. This is sort of a smaller idea of what this president is dealing with Iran in general. We're going to give you how many off-roads? We're going to give you how many opportunities to walk away and say, hey, we're going to give you how many detours, and then finally it's going to be game over. It's going to be no more Mr. Nice Guy. President Trump truthing out a threat, a warning. I want to read this to you because it's important to know the context. The U.S. Navy blows a hole in this Iranian ship, seizes the vessel, and then Tehran threatens a response as the concept of talks, which are supposed to resume, I think, tomorrow in Pakistan, totally now up in the air. What's going to happen? Well, let's listen. And this is CENTCOM releasing the video of these repeated warnings in the Arabian Sea. American forces saying, stop what you're doing. Got to stop moving. Get away from the engine room, and then just firing, pop, 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 and disabling the ship. Hey, we told you. Listen.
Motor Vessel Tosca. Vacate your engine room. Vacate your engine room. We're prepared to subject you to disabling fire.
Right. And to that, the president put out a truth that basically said today, an Iranian flagged cargo ship named Tuska, nearly 900 feet long and weighing almost as much as an aircraft carrier, tried to get past our naval blockade. And it did not go well for them. The U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer, USS Spruance, intercepted the Tuska in the Gulf of Oman, gave them fair warning to stop. The Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel. The Tuska is under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of their prior history of illegal activity. We have full custody of the ship and are seeing what's on board now. So what is on board? Well, right before we went on the air, and I cannot corroborate this, cannot confirm nor deny. However, it is being reported what is on that ship is ammonium perchlorate, sodium perchlorate, sodium chlorate, oxidizers, and propellants. What that is? Materials that can make ballistic missiles, ladies and gentlemen. And so this is what this president has on his plate. Video released Sunday night by Central Command confirming the encounter, showing repeated warnings issued over several hours. And so this is exactly a smaller microcosm of what this president is trying to do broadly in this war. Like, when have you delayed so much that you're no longer believable? I don't know. Trump is known for basically keeping people on their toes. And so we'll see what happens. So let's see. This is on Donald Trump warning Iran, no more Mr. Nice Guy. This is an article on MSN this morning. President Trump has said Iran has violated the fragile ceasefire between the two countries, pledging to attack Iranian power plants and bridges if Tehran doesn't sign a deal to end the war. No more Mr. Nice Guy. He warned on Truth Social. He said Iran had decided to fire bullets yesterday in what he termed a total violation of our ceasefire agreement. in a post on Sunday. We're offering a very fair, a reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, the president truthed. If they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. Now, if you're a betting person and you followed what this man has done, he said, you know what, we'll give you 10 days. We'll do this, we'll do that. And then on the first day, he blows him out of the water, right? What's he going to do this time? One would imagine he would let J.D. Vance, Witkoff, and Jared Kushner get to Pakistan and at least have Tehran be a no-show at the table before going, or does he just do it in advance because they violated the terms of an agreement? Look, here's the deal. The president said this about the narco-terrorists. You are not allowed to traverse into our waters carrying drugs. And you did, and so you will die. And people were horrified. What? And then they did it again. It took 20 times, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what hasn't happened lately? There haven't been a lot of drug boats trying to get across U.S. waters to make it to our mainland. It's amazing. Imagine this president's decision. What do you do? Do you wait until tomorrow? And if they're a no-show, bombs away, power plants, bridges, all of the infrastructure, all of the grid, do you hit Carg Island, blow them out of the water too? Because if this president does that, Iran is set back decades. Would the world be upset? I don't know. What do the Iranian people do? I don't know. And yet, all of that, it's not hanging on the IRGC. It's hanging over the head of President Donald J. Trump. And this is going to be that moment. President Trump in the Oval Office, he says, look, we're not just fighting these terrorists. We're fighting something even perhaps bigger than that. This is him on the weekend.
Well, I think we're going to end it. I can't tell you for sure. I don't like to say this. We've won this. This war has been won. The only one that likes to keep it going is the fake news. I mean, the New York Times, you read the New York Times, it's like we're not winning a war where they have no Navy and they have no Air Force and they have no nothing. And we literally have planes flying over Tehran and other parts of their country. They can't do a thing about it.
He said, you know what? It's the fake news that we're fighting. We're fighting the fake news. At every turn, you have journalists in this country telling stories that are cheering on American failure. That's what this president said in the Oval Office yesterday. He did a lot of other things there over the weekend inside the White House, which we're going to talk about. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, speaking of fighting fake news, did you see Elise Stefanik? She wrote a new book about anti-Semitism in the Ivy Leagues, right? And Jake Tapper has her on his program. I'm not so sure he was ready for the incoming because she went next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there and share this in my daily news wrap-up, so don't miss that. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio.
White House.
This is the video I shared with you. I'm following her channel, giving her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, let's jump back here. We got Cotton Ball 31 and Foxy Grandma joined us. GP Wolco 01. Glad you could join us here. Debbie BS, Deb Rant, let's see, Shebe63 and Susan Pole 16. Thank you so much for the chat. I'm going to copy this chat if I can get a hold of it. There we go. Copy the live chat into a comment because, as we all know, when the live stream ends, the live chat just kind of dissipates. So there we go. Got all that good information in there. All right, let me remind you folks that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producers. I've got the links to the videos in the description box as well as the link to the producer's channel in the in the description box if you want to actually go visit the site and their channel and see what other information they have. And the videos that I've shared with you here are videos that I've posted on Mertech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth videos from a wide range of channels, a wide range of information, the kind of information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media. You know, no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Okay, I'd like to share all that with you, but unfortunately I just don't have the time to do so, and that's why I've put together my Mertech Daily News Wrap-Up, where I have 22 videos in this list, about 9 or 10 hours worth of information. Here's the Wendy Bell radio video that I said would be in my list, and the Dan Bongino. We also have some X22 report, We the People News, Anthony Bryan Logan, Benny Johnson, Black Conservative Perspective, Dr. Steve Turley, McWater's Effect, News for Reasonable People, On the Fringe, And We Know, and much, much more. Okay, but go ahead and take a break right now. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, or maybe a nice glass of wine and cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes. Give me a chance to get this set up in Rumble Studio, and we'll get this going. Again, I want to thank everyone for their chats. I really, really appreciate them. I will be rating Wendy Bell Radio tomorrow morning, or at noon tomorrow. So go ahead and tell all your friends to meet me there and follow my channel. And with that being said, I do want to thank you for being with me this evening. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless. But before we take off, I do want to share some information with Trinova Health.
Access Med powered by Trinova Health is a revolutionary telehealth service that offers fast, free Access Med powered by Trinova Health is a revolutionary telehealth service that offers fast, free online evaluations and free home delivery of customized compounded medications offering custom weight loss support, ivermectin therapy, hair restoration, cosmetic rejuvenation, custom ED treatments, and more. You can complete your visit in less than 10 minutes, and there's no subscriptions or recurring fees ever.
Okay, folks, see you in about 15-20 minutes. Have a good evening. May God bless. Thank you very much.